Hello, my name is Josh Valadez, and today I'm going to be talking about carbon footprint and why we should reduce it and how we should reduce it. Now for a definition, carbon footprint means the amount of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and methane that is emitted into the atmosphere due to the consumption of fossil fuels by a particular person or group. According to livescience.com, our output of greenhouse gases has worsened the air quality of the planet and has contributed to global warming via the greenhouse effect, which is example here. The greenhouse effect is when the greenhouse gases within the atmosphere trap heat from the sun. Now this is a normal process, but due to our contributing excess amounts of greenhouse gases, more and more heat is being trapped in the atmosphere. And this leads to deterioration of the Earth's air quality, continued global warming, which will lead to melting ice caps, and the destruction of habitats for Arctic animals, as well as rising sea levels. Next, I'll talk about facets of our lives that we can change in order to reduce our individual carbon footprint and why we should change them, namely being transportation, recycling, and diet. In regards to transportation, according to rideshare.com, every year each car emits an amount of carbon monoxide approximately equal to its weight. And considering that each car is about 4,000 to 6,000 pounds, that's a lot of carbon monoxide that is being released because there are very many cars in use. To counteract this, there are environmentally friendly options for like driving electric cars or hybrid cars. However, not all are so expensive as buying a new car, like a Tesla. We can do something as simple as carpooling. And if one person carpools twice a week, it will reduce the annual amount of greenhouse gas output by about 1,600 pounds a year. Moving on to recycling, according to COTAP.com, about 29% of greenhouse emissions come from the provision of goods. Now, the provision of goods is the extraction of resources, manufacturing, transport, and the final disposal of goods, which includes consumer products and packaging, building components, and passenger vehicles. To cut back on the greenhouse emissions that come from the provision of goods, we can recycle things like plastic, paper, cardboard, glass, metals, and electronics. By recycling these things, we reduce the demand for new materials, thus conserving our natural resources and protecting our planet, and thus reducing greenhouse emissions from the provision of goods. The final facet of our lives that I'm going to talk about changing is our diet, specifically our consumption of animal products like meat and dairy. According to the EPA, 36% of methane gas released into the atmosphere is as a result of the livestock industry, which is made up of enteric fermentation and manure management. To put that in perspective, in 2016, the U.S.'s greenhouse gas emissions were 10% of which were methane. So the livestock industry is contributing about 3.6% of our output of greenhouse gases. To combat this, there are things we can do, like becoming vegetarian or vegan, or if you're like me and you're not really particularly interested in cutting out all animal products, we can simply go vegan once a week just by having recipes for meals that don't include meat or dairy, that mainly include like vegetables and grains and such. By cutting back on our consumption of meat and animal products in general, we will reduce the demand for these products, thus reducing the need to supply so many of these products. In conclusion, we each contribute to humanity's carbon footprint. This carbon footprint includes the greenhouse gases we pollute our environment with through the use of cars, the provision of goods, and the overconsumption of animal products. However, each one of us can do our part to reduce our carbon footprint by using green modes of transportation, recycling, and reducing the amount of animal products we consume.